Welcome everybody to the road to Blizzcon qualifier on Khaldor TV. Today we have another great best of 3 series. We have Alternate Fancy going up against Meteor Makers. Two very aggressive teams from which we have seen a lot of games in the last few weeks and months. And right now we are starting with the best of 3 series on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and you all know what that means. A very high probability that we are going to see Azmodan, and of course we have Azmodan in the game. Played by Meteor Makers, who also run a Kaelthas here and even a Tassadar. So there's a lot of area damage that they're having, but of course it's a composition that really excels in the late game. In the early game they are a little bit on the weaker side here. They're playing a Murden at the front line, and having an Uther for the heals helps them a lot, since they now also have a Divine Shield. And if you go up against Alternate Fancy, that helps you, since Alternate Fancy is a very aggressive team. They're running not only a Tyrael but also an Anubarok here, so they have the chance to go for 2 dive heroic abilities and just go in, section off maybe a hero with a Web Blast, and then try to burst somebody down. They're also running a Sylvanas, which is of course great for pushing power, and even a Jaina in their midst. So for them it's really all going to be about the kills early on, and then also about the pressure against Meteor Makers. But let's find out who's going to take game number 1 here. We are on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and one of these teams will get the lead in this best of 3 series, trying to qualify for the top 8, which is going to be played next week here at the Road to Blizzcon Tournament. We're still in the round of 16, so let's find out who takes the first game. Game number 1 now starting off here between Alternate Fancy and Meteor Makers. We are in the round of 16 here at the Road to Blizzcon Tournament in Europe, the first qualifier. And to the left side of the map it is Alternate Fancy with Darkmok on Sylvanas, Blumby on Tyrael, we have Crosby on Jaina, and the second tank being played by Devis. 2 initiators here for the team, Krolu and Rhaegar. And to the right side of the map it is Meteor Makers with Babeta on Tassadar, Blade on Kaelthas, Tidaka, the Spanish tank player, on Murden, Remaballer on Azmodan, and Crisplosion on Uther. I'm Khaldor, and with me is Tetcher, and we're going to bring you the coverage here at the Road to BlizzCon qualifier.
Currently, Sylvanas yet to pick a level 110. There it is. Instantly going to be the barbed shot, and I believe you are very much a fan of this talent over the with the wind on this map.
Huge fan, especially on this map. Like, it depends a bit on which map you play with Sylvanas, but if you play on Tomb of the Spider Queen in particular and you have to deal with those web weavers, I feel like Barb Shot is an absolutely amazing talent, especially of course in the combination with the unstable poison on level 7.
Yeah, due to the fact that the web weavers do push up with minion waves and stay at about the same range as them, you can wipe out a minion wave super quick with Sylvanas with that barbed shot talent, and with the unstable poison, you can blow up the minions next to the web weavers and do a huge amount of damage.
And once again we have Happy Azmodan in the game on his card. Whee! Spreading out his arms. Oh, actually, like, he's also spreading the damage, in this case against Tyrael, but Blumby gets away. It is the 4-man rotation between the top lane and the mid lane to give Azmodan the chance to stack for his taste for blood, which of course he took as the level 1 talent.
Yep, Tyrael.
Oh, you're actually cutting out there. Apparently a bit of a problem on the side of Tetcher.
Okay.
And once again, Azmodan, whee, down to the mid lane. The best mount definitely for him is either the Hearthstone card or going into the carpet. But yeah, we have now, once again, Azmodan trying to go for the stacking process here. And, of course, attempting to do that in the mid lane. We will see Tyrael trying to prevent that with a shield that he's going to use every now and then to give those minions also a shield. And that, of course, makes it so much more difficult for Azmodan to get his stacks in.
Yeah, but that is the point of Tyrael, just slowing down Azmodan, because like you said, it's when Azmodan gets to the late game that he is going to become a problem. So the longer that takes for him, then the better situation that Alternate are going to be in.
Yeah, well, down to the bot lane now we have Babeta against Darkmok. Sylvanas actually not really picked all that much anymore. Why do you think that is? Like, we haven't seen her in the last few days as much as before the Leoric patch hits.
Her escape isn't as reliable as a lot of other heroes, and she doesn't have the huge damage output that you would get from someone like a Kaelthas in exchange for not having that much escape. So if I had to guess, that would be why. And once again, Blumby denying the stacks there with the shield.
Yeah, but in this case, I actually am pretty sure that he was able to get those stacks thanks to the Kaelthas, who dropped the quick Flame Strike. So we have him right now at 22, so at least he got a few of those. But as you already predicted earlier, the mid lane is where we find Azmodan to get access to all 3 lanes and just to react to the calls of his teammates.
Yeah, and you mentioned with the Flame Strike there, but Taste of Blood actually stacks on the impact damage. Impact permanently increased by damage. Oh no, it is enemies. Yeah, enemies killed by Global Annihilation's impact. So the Flame Strike wouldn't have actually got the stack from there.
No, that's not true.
Is it
like
not?
you have
Well,
a
that's what it
small
says in the
time.
tooltip.
Yeah, that might be, but it's definitely not the case. Like you have
Fair
a
enough.
small timing window after the orb hits, where you can deny the minion. So that's why we oftentimes see, for example, that Jaina time her condemn a little bit different, and why we're having like a few heroes like Zeratul using the cleave after the globe hits. So they have a I don't know the exact amount, it's like 0.2 seconds or something like that, where you can still hit it. So it has not to be the globe of annihilation that actually does the killing damage against the minions.
Yeah, I saw Leoric doing it quite a bit yesterday as well, where he was like killing a minion wave even after Asmodan's globe had already hit. So I guess it's just a slightly mislabeled tooltip.
Yeah, and then it's like it's pretty cool, and it makes it a little bit easier to stack. It's still not all that easy if you're going up against a Rhaegar and Ethereal, but yeah, you have a bit of an advantage that you can use with the area of effect damage, like for example with the Flame Strike here. But this is a pretty aggressive game so far, actually. I mean, the bot lane, look at that, the entire wall already gone.
Yeah, and there still are 2 Siege Giants here that are trying to push this in. T-Darker, though, will be slowing those down a bit. He does have Reverberation, and that will slow those Giants' auto attacks and allow them to kill him off without taking as much damage.
As we already said during the draft, in the good old times before Jaina came into the game, we had Tassadar being the best friend of Asmodan for the stacking process, and AoE heroes like Muradin with his Thunderclap, and also, of course, the Kaelthas were helping out there too. But, whoa, nice kill against Sylvanas here, getting her locked down, as we just talk about Asmodan. The problem really is that it feels like Jaina made it so much easier, and apparently even more denied denied stacks to Asmodan, who didn't really like that Tyrell is up at the top lane and screwing everything up for him.
Yep, he is on 44 stacks at the moment. Not too much, but he's still getting his way up there.
Yeah, the thing is, like, really, if you have Jaina, it's so much easier, and Jaina was banned out in this case, but right now they're relying on the old school stacking style, and it doesn't really work for them, does it? I mean, like, 44 stacks, or in this case, how much are they by now? Yes, still 44.
Yep.
5 minutes in, that's where we've seen some teams already cross the 100 stack line.
Yeah, you should be seeing some very good denials out of Alternate Fantasy right now, and they're pushing in this bot lane very aggressively with Sylvanas, and this is one of the huge advantages of Sylvanas on this map. They will easily get this fort with Webweaver still all very high in health.
Yeah, right now we have the first fort already denied. In this case, actually, it's really impressive to see how Sylvanas is just like so effective with those web weavers. So she's still a great hero, especially if you want to push in the early game and against Asmodan. That's oftentimes what you're trying to do, to outpush them early and get a lead in talents. And right now they're already nearly a level ahead, so they will probably hit that level 10 a bit faster than Meteor Makers.
Yeah, and was it game number 1 between Liquid and Na'Vi where they basically pushed with a Sylvanas like level 1 and got a tower before the minion wave even arrived?
Yeah, I don't even remember. Like, which game was that?
I think it was game number 1 with Liquid Na'Vi. Because it was like Sylvanas and Zagara on the same team and they just instantly pushed
Oh,
bot.
yeah, exactly. When they pushed the bot lane and tried to take that tower down. Yeah, that was also when we had a bit of a difference on talents on Zagara. She went into the Roach talent on level 1 with reduced
corpse
damage.
feeders.
Exactly, instead of going for the creep talent. So sometimes you have really cool adjustments in talents, and this is what makes this game so cool.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about with Sylvanas. A little bit squishy and doesn't have too much escape, but she will be able to get out this time and keep herself nice and alive. Asmodan being prevented from mounting up by the Anubarak Beetle.
We have 69 gems on the side of Meteor Makers now, and they really have to turn those in. The problem is that the heroic abilities are by now ready for Alternate Fantasy, so you can't really move out into the middle of the map and try to turn in if you know that your opponent is going to win every single team fight. They have to just get a bit more experience until then. It's also a very interesting touch that we have on level 4, the All Shall Burn talent, Burn the Weak, instead of the Bound Minion. Then again, it is a map that is very small, so Bound Minion unfolds its full strength if there is no hero to really deal with the pressure. But I still think that on a map like this, it can create a lot of counter pressure on the offlane, so it's an interesting choice to actually see this talent. But against the Web Weavers, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, allows him to clear them a little bit quicker. We're seeing Muradin getting a little bit of harass on him, but he will be able to regen, but there's no way he can prevent this fort from going down once again. With Sylvanas preventing it from attacking, it's going to die very quickly.
Yeah, still no talent picked here for Tyrael. Of course, we've seen this yesterday. Remember the Rhaegar move, where actually Ace of Spades on his Rhaegar did wait with his level 7 talent until the level 10 talent was picked for Tyrael. It was pretty cool, but so far no choice made between Judgment and Sanctification. If you go for Judgment, on the other hand, you have so much Engage. And talking about Engage, Web Blast being used already down at the bot lane.
Yep, and whoever is in this is about to pop out. It is Asmodan. There's the Blizzard. There's the Judgment. It was picked because they wanted that kill. And Asmodan losing a lot of gems.
One could argue that that was even a bit of an overkill there. I mean, it was a 1 versus 4, and Tyrael just throws in the Judgment for good measure. The hate is real. He's just saying, yeah, I might not need it to kill you, but it feels so good.
There is no kill quite like overkill, Khaldor, and that's exactly what they did. And now they're once again beginning to push in the mid lane here, while Tyrael soaks in bot. They managed to dodge out the Stormbolt and T-Dark, and now taking a little bit of harassment. Uther is here with him, though, and does have the heal and the Divine Shield if needed.
Yeah, and they're jumping in once again. The Water Elemental is already starting to do a bit of damage. The Phoenix for the zoning, but here come the Web Weavers, the second wave for Alternate. And Ramabola trying to get some damage in with his globes too, but he's only on 100 stacks, so even with the Black Pool, that's not too much damage that he can dish out just yet. They lost every single fort except for the one in the mid lane already, and this one is now dying too.
And Alternate can continue the pressure here. The Web Weaver is still on half health, and they still have Web Weavers in at both top and bottom lane. So they can continue this pressure for quite a while.
Yeah, and in the mid lane, now we're having the pressure, as you already said, continuing, trying to drop now the 2 turrets and also the gate. They're moving through that at the top lane and the bot lane. We still have a lot of damage dished out by the Web Weavers as well. Asmodan is rotating down and top, trying to, of course, use now the All Shall Burn. He took the extra talent on level 4 to deal with those Web Weavers a bit more efficiently. Nice move by Muradin. Yeah, he definitely went the wrong way here at first.
Yep, and nice bait, though, able to get himself away, though. Tower does go down in the mid lane to that Frostbolt of Jaina.
I mean, to sum it up, currently we're having a very, very solid game out of Alternate Fancy. The important part is that even with Alternate Fancy playing a very strong game, 2 kills against 1 ain't too much, and we also have only a 1 level lead. It's, of course, a situation where the problem is that you lost 3 of your forts, but overall, Meteor Makers has a chance to come back into this in the late game, and this is where we know Asmodan is going to be at his strongest, even though he has a problem with the stacking process. But Alternate Fancy is really playing very solid against Asmodan, preparing already for that late game damage with 2 spell shields now on level 13, and also an ice block that we're seeing in this case for Jaina.
Yeah, but Asmodan is currently on 146 stacks. Kaelthas, with Gathering Power, does actually have a stack. He was involved in that 1 kill that Meteor Makers got and has yet to die since.
Yeah, and up to the top lane now with the first Web Weaver wave released for the red team. We have a rotation of 5 players of Alternate Fancy, and yeah, that Web Weaver didn't get a chance to do anything at all. Just sat high and by, and that was it. Mid lane looks like we're going to see the exact same thing. It relieves a bit of the pressure, I want to say, from Meteor Makers, but it doesn't really do any damage.
Yeah, this is just getting gems off them so that they don't die with them, but like you said, it's just relieving pressure. These Web Weavers going down so quickly because they can't push with them. If they do, they're going to go into a very disadvantageous fight and will likely die again.
Yeah, they are able to just like push out the lanes a bit, and that helps them, of course, with denying a bit of the map control to their opponents, but still, they have to just like soak experience wherever they can, soak a few lanes, get more damage in for Asmodan. That's the most important part. As long as they have damage stacks up on Asmodan, it's all going to be good in the late game. They are at 180 roughly now, and that is starting to look a bit better for them, but they are still, of course, still far behind from the normal stacking process that you would see with an Asmodan-Jaina composition.
Yeah, they're going on to Dark Monk, but Dark in a good position. Lubrak getting knocked up here, but he is standing in the Phoenix. The Phoenix, though, doing nothing with that single stack. Divine Shield used on Muradin, but I feel that was a bit premature.
Yeah, maybe, like, in this case, they could have definitely waited a bit longer. Darmok, by the way, nearly dying here to that Globe of Annihilation that we just saw. And if he didn't have that spell shield, he would probably be dead now. So that's already showing that Asmodan is starting to get a bit more damage in. He's only at 9,000 hero damage thus far, but at least at 68,000 siege damage. But just look at Sylvanas. That barbed shot is such an amazing talent for her. 100,000 siege damage already thanks to barbed shot and unstable poison.
Yeah, it's basically completely negated.
Yeah, it's definitely completely negated there. And, well, We have now in the mid lane against the pressure here. Okay, Darkmonk moving in, and just look how fast this hard camp is actually just evaporating there. That Bruiser camp didn't stand a chance.
Yep, so now we're seeing the defense here trying to deal with this just incredible push. And there's very little they can do about it.
The blue web weavers once again in the game. 71 gems, by the way, on the side of the red team. So Meteor Makers has a fair amount of those, but they need to deal now with another web weaver wave, and this is not going to be easy, especially since Alternate Fancy is about to hit level 16.
Yeah, and Alternate Fancy going very aggressively here. Meteor Makers trying to hold the line, but they've lost all their towers in the mid lane, so this web weaver will be pushing straight onto the keep.
And they might lose the first one here now. Level 16 versus level 14. They're moving in already. Cold Embrace being used. Another good globe, getting a lot of those minions out of the way. And here comes the Phoenix. Good for zoning and also to eliminate the Web Weaver. But look at that keep already being assailed by everybody here. Darkmonk has to jump, or T-Dark has to jump away once again on his Muradin. But this is looking very grim for keep number 1.
Yeah, this keep will get absolutely annihilated, especially due to that Cold Embrace from Sylvanas, allowing them to just kill that off so quickly. And now we're seeing Alternate Fancy rotate down to the bot lane to push there as well.
Yeah, up in the mid lane, we have, or at the top lane, we have now the All Shall Burn being used, but actually he cancels it. That was a bit surprising there. I'm not quite sure if that was intentional, but he is still moving to the bot lane. The Web Weaver still alive up at the top. Nice ancestral healing here. Web Blast already being used. The Divine Shield mirrored, and he's trying to escape here, but the Judgment is used to lock down Uther again, and the healer is down. And just like that, Alternate Fancy goes through the second keep.
Yeah, Bloomby trying to get onto T-Dark there, blocking him off with the Holy Ground, but has to back up after taking a little bit of counter damage from Muradin himself. And we're going to see Alternate Fancy pull back now. They've managed to get 2 keeps out of this, and top is still under pressure.
Yeah, top is the only lane, though, where they still have a keep available, and Remorbola is now moving in and might be able to pick up another set of stacks here, but the rotation is already ongoing, and with them having the level 16 talent, Alternate Fancy is not afraid to just move in and attack keep number 3, because there is just nothing in this point that the opponent's team can do. Not even the damage on Remorbola is high enough to take them on, especially not with a tidal wave on the side of Rhaegar.
Hero taking a bit of damage, but once again able to get out without taking too much damage, and Devis will use his Burrow Charge to escape there. No Ignite yet for Kaelthas, so he's not able to just get his stacks up either. Still only 1 kill, so he's only on 1 Gathering Power stack.
3 kills against 1. It's not really a game where you see a lot of team fighting and heroes dying, even with Judgment and Anuburak starting to initiate here. But the big problem, of course, is that all of the structures are taken out. There's so much pushing power that we are seeing on the side of Alternate Fancy, and they deal with this Asmodan probably in a problem in very cool fashion here. Asmodan is now at 110 siege damage. He's still getting a lot of his stacks in, but he's quite slow with it. And another good hit, though. He's starting to become a bit more dangerous, but oh, this is a really bad situation for Muradin to be in. Here comes the Divine Shield, but the kill against Anuburak, actually a very good start, and the kill against Tyrael. Good ball from Remorbola.
Nice turnaround here coming out of Meteor Makers. Muradin with the stone form, keeping himself very much alive here. He's going in, he wants Darkmonk, misses the stun. Darkmonk does not get over the wall though. The slam, he would have been hit by the slam if he made it over the wall though, so that actually worked in his favour. And now T-Darker going to be pulling out here, but Meteor Makers with their first advantageous fight of the game.
And they couldn't turn in now. They have the opportunity to turn in. There are 275 stacks, so in this case they cannot only get the turn in, but they might also be able to finally get something out of that stacking process. Asmodan is starting to do a lot more damage. Nice ice block here. Crosby moving away, but there's the globe, and just like that, another kill picked up by Meteor Makers.
Late game Asmodan Kaelthas. This is exactly what we were worried about, and it is now starting to happen. They have ignited. Kaelthas has got his stacks up pretty nicely here. He is on 4 stacks of Gathering Power there, and Asmodan also working his way up with his Globe of Annihilation on 308 stacks.
Yeah, one of the things that we have in this game right now, of course, or one of the problems that they still have, is that 2 of the keeps are already down. That means these waves are continuously pushing against Meteor Makers. They have to make something happen here, and in this case that means take down your opponent's heroes, try to win another team fight, because they might have been in a pretty solid position right now, but they are still way behind when it comes to structures. They didn't take down a single fort of their opponent yet, while they themselves lost already 2 out of 3 keeps. But the experience is very even now, level 18.5 against level 18.
He was able to use his spell shield there to block out both of those incredibly high damage abilities, but it is now not available for him, and the Ancestor was not quick enough to save Rhaegar there. And Alternate Fantasy suddenly on the back foot, thanks to this incredible damage coming out of Meteor Makers.
Yeah, Meteor Makers moving in with another Globe of Annihilation, and here comes the All Shall Burn as well, starting to take down the forts with the help of the Web Weavers, and just like that, they pick up all this experience that is still in the structures and attempt to lock down Tyrael, and another great hit from Azmodan.
Living Bomb is enough to finish him off. T-Darker getting dropped very low though, but is going to be able to pull out, and there is a healing ward coming down from the Tassadar, which is going to allow him to heal up with the help of his passive.
Once again, the hit against Devis now though, and once more Ignite, and there's the Living Bomb damage against Crosby. And just like that, we have a ton of... Oh my god, like wow, they are ballsy.
Yeah, that's aggressive. Azmodan just going to clear the wave there with this, and then go help his team clear this boss.
Yeah, they go for the boss right now. It's a bit of a ballsy move, but still it's a 5 or 4 versus 5 right now. They should be able to get this one, especially of course with the Phoenix there. Yes, and just like that, it is a boss for them now as well. And with such a simple move, well, it's not really a simple move, but just like that, they are suddenly closer to level 20. They have the boss barreling down the top lane, and they are in a great position. This is that late game that we've been talking about. Once that you hit level 16 with this composition, you cannot only rely on your Azmodan, but also on Kaelthas to dish out the damage, and both of these heroes are doing work now.
Yep, and we have a level 20s available for Meteor Makers here. We have the Boulder Storm on the Kaelthas, just going to try and keep him alive. Dodges out the first bit, he dodges out the second. Will he get hit by the slam? No, he won't. Nice dodging there.
Yeah, once again, the Twilight Archon, of course, also another thing that you have to go through in those team fights now. Very strong for Tassadar, makes this hero so much more dangerous. Another big hit here from Memorballer. The Phoenix already at the front line. The boss is starting to move through the top. They're trying to go for the kill against the first keep here. Level 20, not ready yet for Alternate Fancy. The Azmodan composition in the late game, once again, so strong. They've been gambling. They've definitely been gambling, but so far the gamble is paying off. But they still have to care about their own course, since there are 4 catapults already attacking it.
Yeah, Minion Wave will spawn and prevent the shield from going down for now, and will clear up at least a couple of those catapults. But Azmodan, he's heading back there just in case, and will clear the mid lane, and will then head down to the bot lane himself to eliminate all the leftover catapults there.
Azmodan is at 388 stacks now. We have a lot of gems still for both of the teams. Actually, in this case, Meteor Makers could still turn in and get a full Web Weaver set. They need to be careful down here, and Azmodan is, of course, finishing the job. 1,300 damage already with a black pool that he dishes out.
Alternate Fancy hovering around this area. Looks like they may want to try and catch out Meteor Makers here, and they really need to try and kill off that Kaelthas. Max stacks on his Gathering Power. He needs to be a big priority in these fights.
Now we have an interesting situation though. We have 2 Bolt of the Storm, 2 Hardened Shield, and a Rewind on Rhaegar as the level 20 abilities or talents on the side of Alternate Fancy. And just like that, they have an opportunity to not only dodge the globe or the orb on 2 of the heroes that are the priority target, but they also have a lot more sustain and heal on the side of Rhaegar thanks to Rewind. So this might be the chance for Alternate Fancy to turn the game around once again.
T-Darker moving into Darkbolt. Darkbolt immediately using Bolt of the Storm and does not get hit by that Globe of Annihilation, so he's going to be able to heal up and reposition himself to help his team again.
418 stacks now for Azmodan, and Azmodan is starting to move in. Of course, there are the Web Weavers. Again, the bot lane is going to be de-pushed thanks to that. We still have those 2 Siege Giants to consider, though. And in the mid lane, this is where Meteor Makers is going to try to make the next stand here. Once again, setting things up with another Orb of Annihilation and taking down another wave.
Yep, 432. He's getting very close to that maximum number. There's the stun onto Dark Rocket. He's getting burst down. He gets taken out. And that is the first kill. Web Blast was instantly used on the Uther, but he gets out very quickly. And MYM continuing to push on here. The Web Weaver in this lane is dead, though. But they're going to try and take down this keep anyway. But the Web Weaver in the top lane is going onto the core. And Alternate Fancy have to deal with that.
Yeah, Sylvanas had no real business in that position, gets sniped, and just like that, it's a second keep that they lose. Are they going to go for core, though? Are they trying to use that chance? It looks like they don't want to risk it here. Once again, the globe hitting, but good dodge here by Blumby. He moves back, and Alternate Fancy, they're hanging on to this game, but things are looking very, very grim now.
Yeah, and they can't afford to keep losing people. This bottom lane, though, the Siege Giants, still fine, are now onto the core. And Alternate Fancy could try just deny the pause here. It looks like they are thinking about going to the turn-in. They've now realised exactly where Meet Your Makers are, but Asmodan has already gone back and has prevented that bottom lane from pushing any further, and that was a big chance Alternate Fantasy had of maybe denying ports, or at least trying to just push in very quickly.
444 stacks now on Asmodan. He's at 218,000 siege damage compared to the 200,000 that we're seeing on Sylvanas. When it comes to the hero damage, on the other hand, it's still Sylvanas with 56,000, the best hero, at least for the blue team. When we're talking about the red team, it's not Asmodan just yet, but Kaelthas with 67,000. And we could, of course, see, especially early on after level 16 in those few team fights, how much damage he really can dish out in these fights.
Yeah, but late game Kaelthas is pretty beast at overall team damage, whereas Asmodan very much that single hero sniper. Once Muradin has someone held still like this, in it comes, only lands a Devis, who does get healed up by Crowlu.
Yeah, Crosby, by the way, also eating now that ignite damage there. Eats that living bomb. Once again, down here. Oh, the snipe! Sylvanas again out of position. She has no business down there. Not with two tanks, with two warriors. You cannot be in a position like this. And just like that, she dies again, down for another 50 seconds. And that gives more and more map control to Meet Your Makers, who by now are at 470 stacks. And they are going for boss once more.
Alternate Fantasy, where are they going? They're heading through this stealthy area. I think they want to try a backdoor, but Jaina may have just showed herself there. They are in fact going for the backdoor, and I think this may be their only hope. They don't have Sylvanas though, one of their main damage dealers. In goes Tyrael to start off. The bees all coming out of Meet Your Makers, and can they stop this? Shield still completely up at the moment.
Yeah, they're trying to go for the YOLO move, but it might already be a bit too late. Here comes the first globe, 96% on the core. The judgment already being used on Remaballer, but Asmodan doesn't really care too much. Krollo on the move back on his Rhaegar. This isn't looking too good. They're at 70% there. The first hero is already dying. Down goes Jaina, and it looks like Anubarak is not going to make it either. Bloomby trying to do whatever he can. 56% on the core, but this looks very much like it's going to be game. Even the explosion is not going to drop the core here, of course, and right now back at home it's only Sylvanas trying to finish off the catapults and the boss.
Yep, and with the catapults, the boss, and very soon to be the entirety of Meet Your Makers, this core will go down. And Meet Your Makers about to take a one-game lead in this series. Alternate Fantasy, nothing they could do with that. The late game happened in that game.
Yeah, it definitely did. 492 stacks at the end of the game for Asmodan, and it is Meet Your Makers with the 1-0 lead in the best of 3 series here at the road to Blizzcon qualifier. Wow, pretty sick game there. The entire early game actually dominated by Alternate Fantasy, and then once 16 is hit, Alternate Fantasy just a bit, I want to say too eager, a little bit like too greedy, going into a team fight, and suddenly there's Kaelthas and they just explode. All of them dead, and this was exactly what Meet Your Makers needed to come back. They get the stacks up on Asmodan, and with Asmodan and Kaelthas in the late game, they turn this around. Crazy, crazy game that we just saw there, and therefore the 1-0 lead for Meet Your Makers. And well, we're going into the second game right now, which is on Sky Temple. Unfortunately, the draft tool bugged out, but in this case, we're having on the side of Meet Your Makers now Kaelthas plus Jaina. The bans in the game were Abatha and Butcher on the side of Meet Your Makers. They wanted to make sure that Alternate Fantasy, with that setup that they really like, with an early pick on Uther, don't get one of those melee assassins, and that they also don't get the slug, because Abatha in that setup can be very, very strong. Alternate Fantasy, on the other hand, they banned out the Rhaegar and also Zagara, trying to pressure the healers a bit. But in this case now we're having again Leoric in the game now as well, who's being played on the side of Alternate Fantasy. Alternate Fantasy, of course, they need to win this game right now. They are in the same boat as other teams were before them. If they lose another map, they are out of the tournament. For Meet Your Makers, it started definitely off with a bang. They are in the lead, and they really fought hard for this one. On Sky Temple, they're going to try and close this series out with a 2-0, and if they are going to be able to do that, that's something we're going to find out right now on Sky Temple. Game on! Sky Temple is our second map. It is, of course, the round of 16 here at the road to Blizzcon qualifier. Meet Your Makers is going up against Alternate Fantasy, and to the left side of the map we have Alternate Fantasy, and in this case they are down one map in the best of 3. This is map number 2. We have Devis on Sylvanas now, Darkmok on Leoric, Bloomby on Jaina, Krollo on Uther, and Crosby on Nazeebo. To the right side of the map, it is Meet Your Makers with T-Darker on Tyrael. We have Babeta on Kaelthas, Jaina played by Remaballer, Blade on Anubarak, at Crisplosion on Malfurion. I'm Khaldor, with me is Tetcha, and we're gonna jump now into game number 2 to bring you the coverage here at the Road to Blizzcon qualifier.
Yep, and Bloomby currently the only one at this watchtower. Bit of harassment coming out from MY, nothing too serious though. And we're gonna see Alternate once again try to take this watchtower.
Yeah, and by the way, I want to highlight something real quick. In the last game, in the late game, Darkmog was on Sylvanas caught twice, which was a bit unfortunate and resulted in them getting pushed in. This time they play Sylvanas again, but Darkmog got banned from Sylvanas, and instead they put him on Leoric, the hero that can literally die like 1,000 times and still be in the fight. I'm not sure if that's a coincidence or not, but it's certainly pretty funny.
Yeah, I like to think it's just because, well, you want to die, do it on someone who can be useful afterwards.
Yeah, so I like to think that it's because they run a double warrior, but then again they already had a double warrior in the last game. So let's just say that Darkmog is the best Leoric player in the setup. And that's why he's currently on this one. We have, by the way, with a win taken this time on Sylvanas and not Barbed Shot. This is not Tomb of the Spider Queen any longer, so therefore it's a bit of an alteration on the talent.
Yeah, and it makes a bit more sense. He needs to be staying at range a lot due to the Kaelthas and the Jaina. They will be harassing him as much as they can. And there, speaking of Kaelthas, down he goes in the top lane.
Yeah, that ragdoll getting completely thrown to the side there. Perfect timing for them too, as the shrines are about to activate in a second. The temples here up to the top. Darkmog moves in. Dev is actually pushing this tower in quite a bit, and we're seeing now 2 of those temples taken by Alternate Fancy, at least at the beginning of the game, as the mid lane was occupied by Bloomby, who soaked a few of the shots before Tiarka and Crisplosion were making their way over.
Yeah, he then realised he is outnumbered and pulled back, but still going to try and harass it and try and take it for himself. No contention towards the top temple coming out of MYM.
Yeah, and a bit of a change here also, if you compare to what we've seen played from the side of Talons on Leoric in the game before, where Rocket was playing the hero. We have a change on the level 4 Talon. Willing Vessel is now being used. Who comes up with these names, by the way? Like, that's a tongue twister right there. Say this 3 times
Willing
fast,
Vessel?
I dare you.
Willing Vessel is fine. Crisplosion, though, is not.
Say 3 times. Crisplosion is really easy.
No, I was saying that he wasn't fine.
Oh, okay. Say Willing Vessel 3 times fast.
Willing Vessel, Willing Vessel, Willing Vessel, Willing Vessel.
Show off. So,
maybe it's just a language thing.
Yeah, it's one of those German-British things, probably. Well, we're gonna come back to the Streichholz later on.
They're not even trying, no.
Devis and Darkmog in the mid lane. I mean, right now Alternate Fancy is really doing well at the early game, but of course that was also the case in the last game that they played against Meteor Makers. They have a bit of a leading experience, and if you get that early on in Sky Temple, you oftentimes end up with an earlier level 10 during the second temple phase. The talents that we're seeing for the team, quite interesting. First of all, Willing Vessel has been used here, so the additional Drain Hope, which is pretty cool to keep yourself alive. Of course, it's Boundless Conviction over a protective shield that we're seeing currently on Uther, an interesting talent here as well. And on the side of their opponents, we are having now on level 1 the extended range on the spikes.
Yep, and we also have the extra radius on the Blizzard, which is helping out here as they fight over this easy camp. And Noob is going to get dropped low and have to power charge out, and Devis focusing down T-Darker here.
Yeah, and there Tyrael goes. Tyrael dead, but actually, oh, Devis just barely getting away with an Haunting Wave.
Very well played there, able to dodge out. And once again, an interesting talent on Leoric, the Paralyzing Rage, the increased slow coming out from his Skeletal Swing.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty cool one. So we have so many different builds right now on Leoric, and it just shows that the new hero has not been completely figured out just yet. Oftentimes there's a certain standard build that applies for most heroes, and you adjust it every now and then according to which map you play and also which composition you use. But in this case, it's really about control in the fight. They want to make sure that Leoric can slow everybody down even a bit more than he usually does. Talking about slows and about stuns, we're having a level 7 Bed of Barbs now being used for Nubarak, so going for that extra control during team fights as well.
Yeah, both of these teams this time will be going for the cleanse. There is a lot of stuns available. The Johanna Bless Shield, for example, combined with the Uther stun. Good thing to cleanse out. And on the other side, we have the Tyrael Engage. Always something, if you can cleanse it, you really want to.
Yeah, the temple at the bot lane, by the way, has been taken now by Alternate Fancy, and they've really been able to establish that early game lead here with nearly a level that they are now ahead. The one thing that we don't see on level 7, by the way, is a mule. Neither one of these teams goes for Mule. Nazeebo had the chance to pick it up, but of course you have to give up Gitbin if you want to go into Mule, and this is just an amazing talent to take, so they decided against it to have that extra damage coming out of the talent.
Yep, and down goes that bottom four, the first one of the game. Going over to Alternate Fancy, looking very good at the moment, but they were ahead in the last game as well, and they are still up against the Kaelthas.
Yeah, and up to the top lane, as you can see, we're having a 3-man rotation trying to drop one of the forts of Alternate Fancy. But of course, Alternate Fancy is reacting now and starting to move over. The watchtower has been taken earlier by Meteor Makers, but Blumby is moving in. Where's that Condemn? He has the shield. They are on level 10, and it's Entomb. He gets a double Entomb. Oh my god, gets the silence as well. Crisplosion about to die here in the back lane, and Kaelthas now dropping too. The heals keeping him alive, but what a combo.
That was, as they would say, a combination able to take down two members. They're both of the mages on the side of MYM.
I don't even, like, I was so surprised by that Entomb because it just hit as they were moving up, and I'm so used to the march of the Black King by now from the last few games that we casted, that when it came up I was just like, oh my god, he hit two, and then there comes that arrow. That was so good.
And that's the kind of thing you can combine Entomb with. Think of that, or a Falstad with a Hinterland Blast, and you can get it good. You can get some really nice engages. Usually, though, we have been seeing Leoric with a Zagara or something similar, which is why he's been able to get those kind of engages off with the March of the Black King. This map, much wider and more open, so it's more likely he's going to be able to trap people than get a full March of the Black King off.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, just look at the talents that we have now in general. The Phoenix, the Water Elemental, Sanctification being used for Tyrael. This is going to be pretty cool. I mean, already we have Alternate Fancy in the lead, but then again, they were in the lead already in the last game, but this time we do not have that Asmodan on the side of Meteor Makers, and neither do we have, well, we have the Kaelthas, I suppose, and that's really going to help them, but still, Asmodan contributed a lot to the last victory of Meteor Makers here. Alternate Fancy trying to lock down an Uberak. Good stun here from Krolu, trying to go for the body block, but the Web Blast being used, and a stun, but Sylvanas is not done just yet.
Yeah, Dev is trying to chase in, but T-Darker comes in. Here comes Crosby from the side, though. That's a very greedy, but uses Gargantuan for the kill there.
Oh, that poor Anubarak doesn't get a break, does he? He gets past Uther, then Sylvanas jumps in. He gets past Sylvanas, and then suddenly there's an Nazeebo coming in from the side. Ah, that was very unfortunate for him.
Yeah, and temple-wise, we're going to be seeing top temple going over to Alternate Fancy. Bot temple currently being held by MYM, but Alternate coming to try and seal it. Chris Bojan kind of trapped away for his team here. Kaelthas gets the knock up onto Leoric though.
The anti-Kel... Oh, there's the
no.
Entomb for Chris Plosion. Immediately the Phoenix going down there as well. Darkmook has to move out with this Wraith Walk. We're having them moving in again. There comes the Heal Tranquility from Chris Plosion, trying to keep T-Darker alive and the rest of the team. But the Condemn already being put in again. They're jumping in. There's the immediate Sanctification. Really well done. Material going down now. Devis moving away in the last second. And just like that, it's once more Alternate Fancy trying to chase them down one by one.
Yeah, Darkmook going incredibly aggressive here. He does get Web Blasted though, and Blade will tunnel out. Blumby going to be freeing Darkmook here. And that was only one kill overall. It's about to be two though. Blade can't get out of here. Burrow Charge doesn't need it. And Chris Bojan heals him up.
Yeah, currently Alternate Fancy is playing Exterminators in this game. I mean, they go hard for the beetle here. But what I was about to say is that the level 13 talent, of course, helped as well. They went for the anti-Kaelthas talent. We have 4 spell shields on their side. That's something that they would have loved to have in the last game as well against Asmodan, but in this case, they picked that thing on every single hero except for Nazeebo, who rather would have his own sprint to get out of harm's way in case that he's being attacked.
Yeah, but he is one of the probably the squishiest hero with the least escape in this game, so kind of needs it to back out of any fights here.
Yeah, once again, the Templar at the bot lane and now completely drained from his shots, the last 5 moving in. And they are doing a lot of damage here. I mean, if you compare the keeps or the forts that are still standing, we have 3 forts already taken out by the blue team. So Alternate Fancy in a solid position with a 2-level lead right now, as just now we are seeing Meteor Makers pick up the level 13 talent. And oh my god, like they go for boss.
Yeah, they want to try and take this. T-Darker is the one going to be tanking this, and he can absolutely do this, especially seeing as he has amplified healing. And the Imposing Will. Imposing Will not going to affect too much, but if anyone wants to come in to contest, it would make a difference.
And they're actually able to sneak it just in the last second. Wow, that was a clutch move, but Entomb!
The Entomb catching out by Fury there. There's the Sanctification, though, protecting a lot of members of MYM. And Nazibo has already dropped down. Kaelthas being dropped low. He's trying to reposition himself. He's being chased down by Bloodby, though. And the Leoric there, they are able to take him down. And we're seeing a lot of members dropping very low on the side of MYM. Chris we're seeing him being protected by Blade here with some nice body blocks, but he still goes down.
Did he just get killed by a minion? I'm pretty sure he just got... Yeah, it might be the Venom, but that was pretty close. 16 versus 14, it's 9 kills against 1, and with that Leoric helping them out in these fights and slowing everybody down. This is an amazing position. He goes for the Consume Vitality in this case, with the extra hit points that he gets. So actually pretty cool to see that talent. It's once again an adjustment to what we've seen earlier played by teams like Rocket. But keep this boss in mind. With all the heroes that they're losing here, they still were able to capture the boss, and that pressures of course the bot lane. They have the 4 already taken out, and therefore the keep wall has been attacked.
Yep, and the level 13s, the double ice block coming out, of Team MYM there was not enough to protect them there, but it did prevent a little bit of the initial damage. A lot of immunes coming in with that Sanctification, the double ice block, and well, the Divine Shield on Uther.
Yeah, for now we have, of course, 1 level, actually they're nearly 2 levels behind still. Bloomby with all of that siege damage, moving in with the Condemn every single time and starting to get this. And once again, Leoric, of course, going for the Skeleton Swing, doing so much damage against those waves with it. Basically, he can clear a wave with 1 hit then later on. You need a little bit more than that, but still. So we have Devis and the rest of the team moving up to the top. There's only 1 temple active this time, and they are, of course, going to try and use it.
Yep, and they're probably going to be able to. We can see MYM choosing not to contest this, and as such, they will lose their first keep of the game. Instead, they're putting pressure on this mid fort. And right now, Alternate coming to contest this, and they will chase MYM back for at least a while.
MYM still doesn't have level 16. They need the extra talent, and they're waiting now for... Well, actually, they would like to engage since there's no Jaina, but they need to wait for the next talent. So they wait for another wave, they wait for just a few experience points so that they can get the next talent. And I guess by that time, Jaina will be done with the temple up at the top lane. So there's not going to be any problem for Bloomby whatsoever. The rotation is there. Level 16 is finally ready. And this, of course, puts once again Ignite into the hands of Kaelthas, which already allowed them in the last game to start their comeback.
It is true, but they're starting off from 0 stacks this time, so it's not going to be the kind of burst damage we were seeing in the last game. He's going to still have to rely on his team a lot for this, and they're actually moving in for a fight here.
Darkmork immediately moves in with another quick Entomb against the healer. Here comes the Phoenix right away, and they're jumping in. Oh, the Tranquility keeping everybody alive. A nice Divine Shield there in the second on the side of... Actually, it was... I think it was, in this case, Sanctification that kept Jaina alive. And just like that, a double kill. Once again, we have Kaelthas hitting 16, and they turn it around, dropping 4 heroes. What on earth is going on here? Nazebo dying as well now. They kill the entire team. Kaelthas hit 16, they move in, and just like that, Meteor Makers slap them in the face and say, this is our game, this is our time to shine. They gain the momentum, and they are trying to go now straight for the keep, which they will probably get.
Yeah, they're probably going to get this indeed. And Tranquility Sanctification, pretty good when you have a Kaelthas who needs to stay alive to deal his damage. The same with Jaina. And they're going to continue to push in here. The Entomb is used, but they do not care. They're wading through this, and they're able to take down Darkmork. Again, they're trying to take down this keep. We have 8 seconds for Sylvanas, and they're easily going to get this.
Unbelievable. It was 9... Yeah, it actually was 9 kills against 1. 9 kills against 1. A 2-level lead, and then Kaelthas hits level 16. They finally get all that AoE damage with the Blizzard, with of course also the Phoenix and the Flame Strike behind that. And the engagement from Alternate Fancy, they use it with the Sanctification and Tranquility and just drop everybody in that setup. It looked really like Alternate Fancy just didn't respect the damage enough, that they didn't realize how much damage there really was on the side of Meteor Makers, and they jumped in. They thought it was a battle like any other battle there, but it was the exact same amount of talents that they had, 16 versus 16, and just like that, a 2-level lead of Alternate Fancy completely negated, and now we're seeing Meteor Makers even ahead in the game.
Yep, MYM will be holding that top temple for now, but Ultimate Fancy still in a position where they are even on levels, or they were for a couple seconds. Now level 20s available for the team of MYM, but they are able to grab the bot temple and still be fine.
Oh, talking about like temples and about structures, we have Alternate Fancy moving in and saying, okay, we might not even get that kill with the temple, but we can simply move in and drop the keep here, and that's exactly what they're doing. They might force back Meteor Makers to defend the core, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Both of the teams are currently on level 20, and we're having a lot of strong talents, but in this case, on Leoric, it is actually a hardened shield.
Yep, Leoric taking quite a bit of damage here. Once again, he is the target like last game. And there we go, there's the two. He manages to get two. And Leoric can use his Burrow Charge to get out of this, but they have to retreat due to the fact Kaelthas was here and dealing a lot of damage. Blade coming in, trying to get Devis, but he Haunting Waves. There is the Water Elemental though, but Divine Shield will keep Devis safe. Lumbi is in trouble though.
I still feel that they don't have enough damage for the M2 here. Once they lock these targets down, there's no AoE. Blumby using or proccing the Indestructible. Web Blast already being used. It looks like Jaina might go down here too. Yes, they dropped Jaina, and just like that, they're moving once again in against Uther. Uther low. Crawlu, where's that Moonfire spam? He could get it with another one, and he takes him down with an auto attack. Just like that, a 5 versus 3 situation. They're going straight for the second kill. Devis is low, jumping away. Blade not able to get him. Redemption is still ready for Uther, so he's going to be back to business, and at least for now that core is safe.
Yeah, the core is safe, but we didn't actually see that many heroics, or at least the defensive ones, coming out of MYM there, so they're going to be ready for this next fight.
And damage, we have again Kaelthas jumping in with 41,000. Azebo still has a bit more than he does, and Sylvanas is in a very good position here as well when it comes to the damage output, but the top keep is now being assailed and under siege. We have one additional keep still on the side of Alternate Fancy compared to what we are seeing on the map for Meteor Makers. They are only relying on the keep in the mid lane, and well, let's be honest, that's not a healthy keep there. That's like... yeah, that's going to drop with another hit, and now we have one temple alive on the map, and Meteor Makers is still getting pushed pretty hard on all these lanes. And don't forget, Boss is back.
Yeah, but Meteor Makers did all go back. They finally cleared bot lane. Like I said, this mid temple is going to die very quickly, but Alternate are now on the map, trying to take some control here. Meteor Makers not going for the temple straight away. They're hovering around this boss area.
Yeah, they're waiting at the boss area. Here comes the swing from Darkmog, the skeletal swing, slowing him down. Another thing, of course, a side effect of you using the skeletal swing, which really slows down your target, is also that you can use the Drain Hope talent for a bit longer, even if your opponent is trying to rush away.
Oh, we're seeing Darkrock though getting focused, taking quite a bit of damage. He's going to be able to Wraith Walk out of there though. Blumby though getting closed in on.
Yeah, and this temple would drop a lot of hit points on the core already. All of the keeps are gone for Meteor Makers. They might have had a couple of really nice fights in the recent past, but they haven't won this game just yet. Once again, they're moving in. Here comes the Phoenix being used. Wrath Walk active as well. Divine Shield had to be used too. Are they trying to maybe go for a bit of a backdoor strategy here? Because we are seeing this temple fully in the control of the red team now. Meteor Makers is starting to drop the top keep, but this core is very, very much exposed.
Yeah, it's exposed, and the bot lane has a lot of pressure on it, and because of that, Alternate Fancy did pick up that Siege Giant camp to put more pressure on the bottom lane, but down goes the top temple, top keep, sorry, for Alternate Fancy. The bot one, the last remaining one for them. It does have full health, though, and 2 towers still to protect it.
Yeah, up at the top lane now, we're having another Bruiser camp taken. It's all about the control on the game now, of course. As you can see down here, Darkmog. That's just wrong, by the way. Like, Leoric on a Tiger,
yep.
That is just wrong.
Yeah, like if you can get color coordination if you run it with the skin, but it's got to be a wolf, and we actually saw someone on a flying carpet earlier.
Yeah, use the wolf. I mean, that's just like, this is not Siegfried and Roy, alright? So like, go away with that tiger. Like, we need a wolf for this one. That
well, they
being
are in
said,
situations being skeletons.
we really have to talk to him about mounts. But like, that being said, like, I could see the Tyrael Charger. You know, it's more of a divine thing.
Yeah.
I
Especially
get
if you've got the master
there.
skin with the white tint.
Yeah, I suppose. Either way, we're getting a bit sidetracked here, I feel. So, the game itself, we still have that 5 versus 5 situation, and it's all about the next team fight. If you really win one more team fight, then each one of these teams will be able to just move across the map and take the game. But of course, the next temple phase is going to show 3 temples. And with that happening, it's a very big problem for Meteor Makers, because all that Alternate Fancy has to do is get one hero on a temple that is not disrupted.
Yep, and Alternate here, they're trying to just not fight as much as possible. They finally pulled Meteor Makers back. If they knew where they were, they might go for the boss here. But There's minions and mercenaries onto the core of Minion Makers now, and instantly Alternate Fancy split up. And like you said, if they can control one temple here, they are good. And there's still mercenaries on the core here. Catapults are now the only things remaining. Darkmok being chased very deep here by T Darker. But the full split up. He's trying to delay.
He could backdoor as well.
He could, but so the entomb misses. We're
Best
seeing the
entomb
backdoor coming out of MYM here. They're just going to dive the core, but what is quicker? Temples or the full push? All three temples and Sylvanas, and I think this is Ultimate's game. The wrong call coming out of MYM, and Alternate take the game. GG.
The triple temple wins the game, and just like that, the series is tied. What a match here on Sky Temple at the Road to BlizzCon qualifier for Europe. Alternate Fancy with a victory. The series is tied. We're going into the last map now, Dragonshire. And once again, we have Asmodan actually banned out in this game because, well, Alternate Fancy just said right from the beginning, okay, listen boys, we're not gonna give you Asmodan here. We know that you like to play the hero also on Dragonshire, and it's just not gonna happen. Both of the teams are running now a setup with two warriors. We're having on the side of Alternate Fancy the Nuburak and Muradin composition, which was very popular for a long time and very difficult to just like go into the back line because of these strong warriors at the front. And also for Meteor Makers, we're having the Jaina together with the Tyrael. So pretty nice setup here. Both of the teams know that everything's on the line here. They need to win this one to advance to the round of 8. So guys, let's find out together which team is going to be able to claim victory in this best of 3 series at the Road to BlizzCon Europe qualifier. The third game, ladies and gentlemen, at the Road to BlizzCon qualifier. We are in the round of 16. It's Alternate Fancy versus Meteor Makers. The final map between these two teams. To the left side of the map, it is again Alternate Fancy. It is Devis on the Nuburak. We have Krolo on Malfurion, Blumby on Muradin. Darkmok was allowed back onto Sylvanas, and we have Crosby on Jaina. To the right side of the map, it's Meteor Makers, and they are playing again with Crisplosion on Rhaegar, rocking the support. Babeta is playing Kaelthas. Darker, Tyrael, Blade on Falstad, and Remaballer on Johanna. The final map, the map that decides which team will be able to enter the round of 8. I'm Khaldor, with me is Tetcha, and we're going to bring you this final match between these two top teams.
Wow, and that's a great engagement from Ultimate right at the start there. The flame strike does land. Tyrael having to Elderwind Smite out there. No deaths, but a lot of damage coming out from Ultimate, and interesting talents on the side of MYM.
Definitely, especially that Seasoned Marksman, of course, on Falstad. That is a pretty cool talent. And not only that, but Rhaegar running a healing totem here. So we are definitely going to see that auto attack build on the side of Blade, who, by the way, flies now to the top lane to make sure that he's soaking this experience here. But not only that, it's also the healing totem that they're using to have the extra sustain on those shrine fights.
Yeah, but the issue is every single person except for Sylvanas, well, until she hits level 10, has some form of AoE, and now the healing totems do die to AoE.
And this is definitely going to be a problem. This is one of the main reasons why we're oftentimes seeing the reduction on mana being chosen on level 1 or the Colossal Totem. So I can't even remember when I've seen this healing totem used the last time in a competitive match. Very interesting approach that Meteor Makers has here, especially of course with that Falstad running Seasoned Marksman, a talent that you oftentimes see on a hero, on a melee assassin, like for example Zeratul. So this is already promising to be a very interesting game. There's so much on the line here, and they are trying something. They are definitely willing to risk something here.
Incredible aggression coming out of Alternate as well in this early game. We're seeing Blumby trying to body block, but the Condemned still lands, and that will prevent this Dragon Knight going over because the bot shrine, is being captured by MYM.
Babeta and Crisplosion are now dominating the bot lane against Devis. Both of the teams have the same amount of experience. The top lane crash out hard by that tri-lane that we're seeing from Alternate Fancy moving in here, and with Sylvanas, of course, you have a lot of pushing power, and Darkmok is already bringing in that Black Arrow trade to make sure that they at least drop the tower to half health. The mid lane, on the other hand, is being pushed by Crisplosion and Remaballer. Both of them are trying to push Muradin back, and let's face it, the Dwarf cannot really do a whole lot all alone here in the middle of the map.
Yeah, he's going to roll out and just start clearing that up as much as possible. Level 4 available for both teams, and Remaballer going very far forward into this lane, looking to maybe try and catch someone, or at least distract from Crisplosion, but Crisplosion has been spotted.
Flow Rider on level 4. The cooldown on the battle roll is reduced. To be absolutely honest with you, I like what we're seeing here. it's really a heavy focus on the auto attack build on Falstad, and normally, even when you are seeing a Falstad with a secret weapon trying to go for an auto attack build, it's still that hybrid that comes into play with gathering power taken, which definitely has its merit, but I like that he is really able to, or willing to commit to a full auto attack build and even foregoes gathering power of 4 in favor of Flowrider.
He is, however, skipping the Vampiric Assault talent that might give him a bit more sustain that was available on level 4 T-Darker, taking a bit of harassment, but he does have a shield up and is able to tank most of it.
So right now the towers are already gone. Still in experience, they're looking at nearly the same level here. But Beta at the bot lane is pressuring in the lane here. Devis is on the other hand jumping him already up to the top lane. That's where Krolo and Darkmook are in a bit of trouble. Remaballer is moving in now as well. Blade still trying to capture the temple because they are about to lose the one at the bot lane.
Blade taking some damage from Crosby, but Crosby completely out of mana. And he does have the first time he actually has a mana regen talent, and he's already out of mana.
Yeah, and well, with the mana regen talent here, first of all, we have T-Darker now in the mid lane. He needs to be careful since Crosby, who we just mentioned, is moving into the mid lane. They're trying to go for the shrine. Actually, they don't even. They're moving down to the bot lane now because they realize that they won't be able to get the Dragonite before Barbeta steals the shrine away. So 2 heroes moving in. Darkmook is also on the way, and just like that, oh, a lot of damage against Darkmook, and here comes Blade! They're trying to get the kill, but Beta is dying though. Very good trade, 1-for-1, and Blade might now die as well.
Yeah, Blade diving in very deep there. That was a 2-for-1 in favor of Alternate Fancy, and they were able to get that bot shrine. Currently no one in mid soaking XP, but Malfurion will get there in time for at least a couple of the minions.
I really like the move from Sylvanas, realizing early on already that thanks to the rotation she had no chance of surviving there, and instead just saying, okay, I'm gonna go deep, I'm gonna get a kill, I'm gonna help my team to at least make this a worthy trade, and that worked out really well for them. Much better than if she would have tried to escape that.
Yep, indeed. And we can see Muradin, once again, an Ultimate Fancy style thing we've seen a lot, going for a kind of hybrid, taking the Reverberation for the slow on attack speed, but still going into the double Stormbolt build later on.
Yeah, down to the bot lane. We have another rotation from Alternate Fancy now, though, moving in against Johanna. Remaballer had to move away, and it looks like Falstad might have to be the one to move to the top lane and capture another shrine, since the mid lane is going to be, once again, sieged up by 2 or 3 heroes trying to aim for the Dragonite.
Yeah, and Falstad has been pushed out of that top shrine for now by Blumby, but he's just harassing him from range and doing a lot of damage at the moment. Really working him down and just kiting him forever. There's the stun. Finally coming in and doing some damage, and gets the Reverberation off. But Blumby still has to leave.
Yes, leave, and now we have 2 of the shrines, or, well, in just a second 2 of the shrines are going to be in the hands of the red team. The problem is they just lost Rhaegar in the mid lane. And with that happening, there is of course going to be a problem, since Blumby already jumped back up to the top lane together with Darkmook to make sure that Falstad is not going to get this shrine after all.
Yeah, bot shrine will once again, they'll go over to Alternate Fancy, but mid lane now has Rememballer in it, and Tyrael hanging around the area to protect it and make sure that there is no Dragon Knight going over, but Sylvanas going to try and prevent it with that level 10.
Yeah, level 10 is going to be exactly the talent that they need. The perfect time for them. 10 versus 9.5, and the extra talent allows them to push the opponent back and go straight for the Dragonite. Web Blast, Tranquility, Avatar, Wailing Arrow, and Water Elemental are now being used on 10, and they go straight for the wall here. Krolo with a drop against tower number 1, and they still maintain, of course, the heartbeat on the lanes, making sure that they get experience on every single one of these 3 lanes.
Yep, and they're still pushing the bot lane very, very hard here. Blade, like you said, just continuing to soak up here and going very aggressive with it. But the bot lane now has a Dragonite in it. It was already pushing quite hard due to Sylvanas.
Judgment being used on Tyrael, not Sanctification, which would have been an option for him to keep Kaelthas even safer. But now they want to go for the snipes with Judgment and Hinterland Blast. Already, there it is! That's trying to go straight for it. A quick punt, by the way, against Remaballer. Jaina is the first one to die here. And, of course, Web has been used as well by Beta in it, but he has been freed. Blade rushing away, and the Dragonite is also gone.
We're now seeing the Sylvanas getting chased down by Blade here, and with the help of Johanna, they will get her. Envenom used on Blade, but he should get out. Yeah, he will be fine.
Yeah, Bloomby is not jumping after him just yet. A lot of pressure in the mid lane now, and a good flame strike hitting home against Devis and Krolu. We have Blade moving up to the top again. And him, with his seasoned marksman on level 1 in the late game, he is going to become so much scarier. And keep in mind, on level 13, he's going to get access to Giant Killer. And with a double tank setup, a double warrior setup that we're seeing for Alternate Fancy, this is going to become a bit of a problem for those two frontliners.
Yep, currently 12 bonus damage on that season marksman from Falstad. 2 stacks on gathering power for Kaelthas. They're just slowly creeping their damage up towards the late game.
And especially in the late game, they are super strong. That's what we saw in both of the games that have been played so far already. That Kaelthas on 16 is doing work. And now with a Falstad behind him to also deliver some auto-attack damage, this is just going to be a massive threat to Alternate Fancy. They're playing a very aggressive game, but in the late game, it's definitely going to be Meteor Makers that will have a slight lead, especially once that Blade hits Nexus Frenzy on level 24 as Falstad.
Very true indeed, and they're moving down to the bot lane. Tyrael just coming over the wall, watch wall, and will help his team take down that Bruiser camp. Rhaegar soaking mid, but Alternate are just clearing out that top lane for now, relieving pressure, and they can continue pushing if they want to, but the response for that from MYM is, well, if you guys are going to chill up there, we're going to push your bot lane with 2 sets of mercenaries.
It is going to be a trade in forts. There is like no other way to put it. 3 spell shields, by the way, taken against that Kaelthas again, and for good reason. Even the improved ice block on Jaina. We're now having the Giant Killer talent for Falstad that we've talked about earlier. There's of course Flamethrower, Imposing Will. No surprise on the talents when we're looking at what Meteor Makers is running here. With also Jaina now going into the extra damage, and they are just pushing straight for the wall at the keep.
Yep, and they will be able to get both towers here and then pull back, leave those mercenaries to do it. And the healing totem, nice positioned exit, does also heal the minions, so keeping those mercenaries nice and healthy.
Yeah, and we have the shrines of course active again, and just like that we're seeing Meteor Maker start a rotation to the bot lane, to the top lane, flying in even with Falstad to help out over there. They're trying to sneak in a Dragonite before the rotation of their opponent is completed, but now we have 3 players in the mid lane for Alternate Fancy, so it's not going to be an easy grab for Meteor Makers.
Yeah, and Sylvanas will take that bottom shrine and prevent the Dragon Knight from happening for Meteor Makers. They are also defending that top lane as the Bruiser camps were still pushing it from the earlier Alternate Fancy, well, fort race, I guess.
A big rotation, the trade used, Iron Skin active, and Johanna rushing away there. Wow, that was a close call. A very, very close
crowd
call.
Control. What crowd control coming in from Johanna there. Completely striking it all off. But, once again, another fort trade coming in from both these teams.
It's really interesting to see that. They're not going for big team fights just yet. They're really just running around each other, always trying to go for another quick kill. T-Darkan is in a very weird spot because that could have backfired, but they are able to just move down to the bot lane as the wall was already pushed through. It's actually, in this case, again, Meteor Makers that is a little bit closer to level 16.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to get there so quickly with the help of Johanna, and that knight takes pawn talent. They're going to now grab that bottom shrine, but immediately Alternate Fancy going to the top lane, they will steal that shrine as well. So once again, Dragon Knights will be denied.
Yeah, now we have Hammer Time taken with the mini stun that we are seeing on Falstad once that he uses that talent and the auto attacks. They're stealing a camp away, and that's actually a very smart move. The rotation worked in their favor there. They realized that they had a chance to steal the Siege Giants away, and they did it immediately. So now it's just all about them trying to push the lanes in. 16 is now also ready for their opponents. Of course, we're having Blessed Hammer and the Ignite talent taken. And this is where Barbeta did most of the damage in the last few games against the opponent's team.
Yep, he does still have 2 stacks, has yet to die since we last called out his stack number, and now is going to look to get those stacks up in this late game. And remember, Border going very aggressively. Wailing Arrow lands on 2 members on Falstad, getting focused. Oh, with the nice dash, keeps himself alive.
We are on Ice Block. That nice in the land blast, sniping Jaina away. Really well done. Material is now dead as well. Delivers some of the damage on the opponent's team on the other hand. And once again, we're seeing the move in with Falstad trying to get close enough for another couple of auto attacks. But Malfurion with a good root on the ground here. But now it is all of a sudden Meteor Makers moving to the top lane with Rhaegar trying to sneak that Dragonite before Jaina, who delivers most of the damage for Alternate Fancy, is back to business.
Very even fight from both these teams, and once again, a complete shrine swap denying the Dragon Knight from either team. But Alternate Fancy has a bit more map control by the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's really all about these rotations, and they just rotate against each other, swapping shrines, trading forts, going for walls at the keep. But it looks for now as if Devis is going to be the one to deliver the second shrine for his team, and that forces Meteor Makers into the middle.
Yeah, remember all that is here, he can tank a lot of stuff in order to deny us for quite a while, and obviously Kaelthas can do that, and that immediately forces Alternate Fancy to back out and start going for their own Bruiser camp here, and that gives Meteor Makers time to go to that bottom lane and grab that shrine material.
And Meteor Makers has lanes pushing with the Siege Giant camp at the bot lane, with the Bruiser camp up at the top. That is of course now being met by the Bruiser camp that was just caught by Alternate Fancy. But still, 4 kills against 4, even trades thus far. This is the last game, ladies and gentlemen. The last game in this best of 3 series, and it is dead even.
Yeah, I would not call this right now. Like we said, Kaelthas is just going to continue to get stronger as this game goes on, and we can see MYM doing their classic figure of when they have control of a lane, just pushing in it to try and draw Alternate Fancy out of position. And that's what they've done here. They have 2 sets of mercenaries in this lane, so they're just going to siege it for now and try and group everyone up for beta to get more stacks.
Blade is going to be in a great position in the late game here, especially with the Nexus Frenzy if he goes for it. He has so much damage with those auto attacks, and if he gets more Seasoned Marksman stacks, he's going to be in a great spot. He's at 28 currently, 28 extra damage that he is currently rushing here, and they are putting pressure onto the bot lane, and quite a lot of that.
Yeah, but Beta looking for more flame strikes. He's mostly only landed on warriors so far, but still looking as much as possible. And the keep taking a little bit of damage, but nothing too serious.
At the top lane, it's a big Bruiser camp that's, by the way, pushing in. By that, the bottom lane, are they going to engage, or are they going to try and move back here? Another flame strike being dodged, and this time it looks like Devis is about to jump in. He could still use his Web Blast now as well. Doesn't do that just yet. Remember, Baller moving back to Darker too, and everybody on the back foot here. Nice Gravity Lapse against an Uberak who might have used the Web Blast in the situation.
Yeah, now we're seeing, once again, MYM going very aggressively. They're trying to focus Bloomy, but nice knockup from the Anubarak stun onto Falstad. They're trying to burst him down, but he is once again able to barrel roll away. T-Darker getting dropped low, though.
Yeah, once again he's getting stunned out, and they're moving in again with another Blizzard about to hit home, but the Flame Strike also going straight for it. The Water Elemental already being used. Web Blast in the back lane, locking one down on the Shrine, and Uberak is still there with a lot of hit points. Remabola rushing away in the last second, but that Web Blast is still there. Judgment being used to jump in, maybe escape. Here comes the Hinterland Blast from Falsa, but the kill against Tyrael.
And that is the only kill in that entire fight. Very nice Web Blast, completely separating out there. And MYM unwilling to stay and push back to try and protect Tyrael there. And Tyrael, last second judgment to at least give himself any kind of escape, but like you said, wasn't able to do it. And that is a Dragon Knight over to Alternate Fancy, and will be this mid fort going down.
This mid four doesn't stand a chance at all. It is going to die for sure. When it comes to damage, we have Falstad still on 27,000. Very solid position here, especially with that extra damage thanks to Giant Killer against the 2 warriors at the front line. But still, in that last fight, we saw the extra kill for Alternate Fancy, and they are the ones about to hit level 20. They have a massive lead in experience, and that Dragon Knight is just going to increase that problem.
Darkmock getting hit by a Flame Strike, but gets an instant heal coming out from Malfurion there. And there is the first keep of the game. Also going over to Alternate Fancy, Johanna being kicked very far back now. And she's going to move in, try and do some damage while getting herself out. She gets rooted. There's the Ancestral keeping her alive though. And it looks like she may escape this.
That was actually like a pretty cool setup with that kick on the Dragon Knight. You don't see a Johanna being kicked by a Dragon Knight too often because of that trade, but in this case, she actually lets herself being kicked over there. She could have used the trade, didn't, and then used the contempt. That actually looked pretty funny.
Yeah, she was able to save herself pretty nicely there. This easy camp being taken by Alternate Fancy, and they're once again going to try and get someone. There's the silence onto Kaelthas straight away, and Johanna pops her trait though to give herself a chance to stay. They're going to try and kill this Web Blast off, and that does let out Rhaegar. Falstad flying down from the top lane that he was in earlier, soaking XP to join the fight. No level 20s yet for MYM.
Yeah, they need 20, and that's exactly why Falstad was at the top lane in the first place, trying to get some split soak experience. And we have now Alternate Fancy moving back, trying to de-push the lanes, and that of course opens up a bit of a time window for Meteor Makers to get the experience for level 20. And as we said earlier, in the late game they're going to be strong, but Beta still has his stacks on his Kaelthas. He's currently on 3 gathering power stacks, so not really as high as he probably would like to be, but still this is a decent position once they hit level 20. 33 stacks on the Seasoned Marksman for Falstad, and that's something that those tanks are definitely going to feel in those fights.
Yeah, and you mentioned 3 stacks not being as much as you want, but you have to remember they only have 4 kills this entire game. That just means that Kaelthas has been involved in 3 of them.
And here comes the level 20 now. Nexus, Frenzy chosen, and this is amazing for Falset. 20% range is already great, but then the attack speed as well, together with the secret weapon that allows you to get so much more damage in. They're already moving down to the bot lane. They want to drop one of the keeps here now, and they might be able to do it. Blade is getting damage, and just look how much damage she does against like Muradin. Like, oh my god!
Darker pulling back, manages to dodge out the Blizzard, and it looks like once again MYM are done with this. Tyrael getting stunned up. Looks like he's the target in a lot of these counter engages from Alternate Fantasy.
Falstad with so much auto attack damage against these high hit point tanks. It's crazy. He's flying to the top lane now, making sure that he gets one of those shrines. The rest of the team has, of course, to rotate back, but that will also allow Blade to get even a few more seasoned marksman stacks. He's currently at 35, and he's going to get even more. The longer this game lasts right now, the stronger he's going to be in those matches.
Yeah, and we can see Alternate Fantasy, they know this and are going to put a lot of pressure onto this bottom lane, trying to take down the keep here with the help of that Sylvanas vulnerable and the Black Arrow trait. They are forced backwards, though, by the fact that Kaelthas has arrived.
Yeah,
oh no,
again.
Darkmok. Not again. Oh, the bolt.
Yeah, just barely. But they're moving in already. We have Blade still starting to rush in. Can they do the damage? No shield. There's the shield. The shield already being used, and they're going for false, and they're trying to drop the bird, but he moves back. Crosby is already low. The Water Elemental is in business, and once again the Web Blast being used as the Hinterland Blast is trying to drop them.
Tyrael uses the judgment onto Jaina in the backline. She pops her Ice Block to try and dodge the Living Bomb. They're focusing down Muradin in the backline of MYM. We do see Tyrael die. He's trying to explode onto Deviz there, and he does get it. But Johanna is completely on her own. Muradin is distracting the backline of MYM.
Muradin already using a stone form a little bit earlier, and Blade was trying to drop him, always kiting away from him. Another condemn being used by Johanna is still on the run. Muradin dropped by the bird. Falstad is doing so much work, and he's going for Deviz right now, trying to drop him too, and Deviz is in trouble. Remaball are moving in with another condemn, getting into position. They're trying to drop him, but in the last second, no, he hit the button twice. He hit it twice. He hammered on the button and just like unburrows again before he's back to safety.
And there's the Blessed Shield again. It came off cooldown, and Malfurion gets taken out. And Alternate Fantasy, they push too hard and too deep, and they get turned on by MYM and MYN grabbing that bot shrine. However, Crosby will steal this top shrine for the moment, at least delaying that Dragonite, but in comes Blade, going to attempt to prevent the escape from Crosby, and Johanna's in a great position for this. Blade dodging out the way of the Blizzard. Crosby in full retreat.
And there's the kill, or will be. Yes, that iceberg is going to save you for another second, but the result is inevitable. And I can't believe that small mistake on the side of Anubarak. He hit the button twice. He wanted to just rush away with a burrow charge, and then he tunnels up just... Oh my god, that was so sad. Nearly got away there, but I completely can understand that. It happens to me all the time when I'm trying to escape and I'm locked down, I'm in the stun, and you're like, burrow away, burrow away, burrow away. You hit it a couple of times, and all of a sudden you just like burrow for like a meter or something. There's the first Dragonite for Meteor Makers. What a game for the 3rd match in this series!
Yeah, the XP counts despite those fights are completely even. 21 to 21. It's about to hit 22 for MYM, as they do have this Dragonite. It can push through the minion waves a bit quicker, but it will not be long for Alternate Fantasy to catch up here. And Alternate Fantasy have already taken down the keep. This will be the first keep for MYM.
Blade is, he is such a menace against those tanks right now. He does so much damage. 45 stacks for him. He is at the same amount of damage as Kaelthas is with a false stat. They're going for core. They're trying to go for core. They just right-click it, and the more the tanks are busy with the backline or with trying to defend against the Dragonite, the more damage Blade can put in against these tanks. The core is already without the shield. Crosby is just like trying to move around, and the Tyrael Judgment coming in. Web Blast being used. The Dragonite is down, but the core is only at 50%, Thatcher.
Ancestral is used on the Raygun, keep alive, but Beta is trying to micro around. Blade is on full health and just focusing it down. GG!
Oh
and
my god!
MYM beat out Alternate Fantasy. The right click, 20-minute plus Dragon Knight, able to win it out.
And Meteor Makers with the victory. They take down Alternate Fancy. They win the third map as well. And just like that, Alternate Fancy is out of the tournament and Meteor Makers advances to the round of 8. Congratulations to Meteor Makers. Very well played. The team is still a pretty young one. They were known as to be determined for quite some time, for a couple of weeks, and then were immediately being picked up by Meteor Makers. And I guess like the organization is pretty happy about their results. Getting into the round of 8, hit the road to Blizzcon qualifier is definitely an achievement. And yeah, congratulations to them. Very well played here. Of course, I hope that you guys enjoyed the series and also the commentary. If you did, then make sure that you give the thumbs up to the YouTube video. And also, if you have any questions about the tournament or about the compositions that you've seen here, just write them into the YouTube comments. I'm sure that somebody can help you out, or that maybe I myself can give you a few pointers if you have any questions about what's going on there. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit that sub button and hit it hard. First of all, the question would be, why haven't you yet? But yeah, if you want to see more Heroes of the Storm content from the European tournament scene, you should definitely subscribe to Khaldor TV, and I'm going to make sure that we have more content for you in the foreseeable future. So guys, see you soon with more Heroes of the Storm videos here, and yeah, have a great day and a great week. See you soon, guys. Bye bye.